So, a while back I made a video titled Why I Chose X-Plane over Microsoft Flight Simulator as my primary simulator, and I have received numerous comments, feedback, and criticisms. First off, I want to thank you all for your engagement, and after reading all these comments, I made a poll asking you the viewers if I should revisit this topic. With the majority saying yes, here we are. In this video, I will be comparing the differences of both Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane based off of what was talked about the most in the comment section of that video, and I will be going in depth with some things that I didn't mention in my original video. To begin, I want to add one thing I didn't include in my prior video, which I purposely excluded as this is a very specific and niche reason, which I originally didn't know how to include it in a way that could relate to the average simmer. This year, I'm going to college for my first year, and I have a laptop which has very limited space. For some reason, the laptop that I got has only one internal storage slot, and I don't want to carry an external brick for storage unless absolutely necessary. So, in order to keep making videos and flying in the sim in my free time, I've opted in for X-Plane, as X-Plane takes about 240 gigabytes, while Microsoft Flight Simulator is double that at around 490. With this specific detail now out of the way, let's get into the pros and cons of both simulators that you, the viewers, mentioned, starting off with what I just mentioned. Let's talk about installation and portability. X-Plane 11, 12, and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 can both be installed via a DVD set. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 does not have this ability. Without Wi-Fi needed at all to install the sim or run it, X-Plane can be downloaded once and run until it corrupts, the drive dies, or whatever else happens. Microsoft Flight Simulator, on the other hand, requires a Wi-Fi connection to run, and if something happens with the server connection, you can't install the game or run it at all. Moreover, X-Plane gives you the ability to update or skip updates, while Microsoft Flight Simulator forces you to update. Next up is Linux and Mac compatibility. While X-Plane 12 has Linux support by default, there are some products and add-ons that simply just don't work. The opposite can be said for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and while there isn't native Linux support, when Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is compatibility translated, there are a lot of add-ons that just work. According to one commenter, the only Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020/2024 add-on that doesn't work on Linux is the Phoenix, because the external app APIs are much more exotic and not covered in Wine and Proton. Otherwise, all other planes, sceneries, and items that just go into the community folder run with no issue. X-Plane also has Mac support, and according to one commenter, there is no difference as everything works. While I don't know if you can port Microsoft Flight Simulator to Mac, if you do know, please leave it down in the comments below. While I personally don't use VR, and probably won't for the far future, many of you have stated that VR in X-Plane is garbage. X-Plane version 12.43 released 2 days ago quoted the VR update, so hopefully if someone tries that you can give some feedback in the comments about that. But Microsoft Flight Simulator, on the other hand, has been praised by you in the comments, saying it looks better, it's smoother, and is much more immersive. Next up on the list are the visuals. The majority of you mentioned that Microsoft Flight Simulator has better ground scenery, and I agree on this. Microsoft Flight Simulator's photogrammetry and satellite imagery wins here. Someone even mentioned X-Plane looks like Roblox.
Life. There's Roblox. Don't let nothing stop you, cause we ain't stopping.
While Microsoft Flight Simulator has streamed satellite imagery by default, X-Plane can have it too with the help of X-Plane Map Enhancement or Auto Ortho, but there are no photogrammetry capabilities as of yet. The closest you will get to having everything in the right place like Microsoft Flight Simulator is SimHaven's X-World, but it won't look the same. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, people also say the textures are better, and I agree, although for some planes in X-Plane, they look amazing. There are some debates on which clouds and sky looks better, and some have stated that out of the box, X-Plane has better colors compared to Microsoft Flight Simulator. In my opinion, Microsoft Flight Simulator can look a bit yellow, and may need reshade or NVIDIA filters to correct it. Now, let's talk about probably the most controversial topic when debating Microsoft Flight Simulator versus X-Plane. While a lot of people say X-Plane has a better flight model than Microsoft Flight Simulator, there have been comments from real pilots saying that both sims are good, and this leads me to say that the flight modeling depends on your personal preferences and the aircraft you fly. At the end of the day, you won't have a perfect representation, as real life will have many more variables than the sim will ever cover. This is why I say you should try out both sims and choose which one fits your goals better. In the next section, I'm going to talk about demos so that you can see what your options are when it comes to testing out both sims. Some of you in the comments below asked if there's a way to demo or trial X-Plane 12 and Microsoft Flight Simulator to see what is a better fit for you. To my knowledge, you can't really demo Microsoft Flight Simulator, but you can try the Game Pass for $1 if you haven't before, and you can give the standard edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator a shot. X-Plane, on the other hand, has a free 15-minute demo where you can fly around the Seattle-Tacoma area. I know when I was thinking about getting X-Plane 11, I tested the demo before my purchase. Next up, let's talk about the price of add-ons. Microsoft Flight Simulator has more users, which consequently means that more products will have a lower price than the X-Plane counterparts. For example, the Phoenix A320 is far cheaper than the Tollus A320. Funnily enough, in economics, if the demand increases, so does price. But in this case, it's just distributing copies of the plane, so you don't need more resources to create the virtual planes, or so I'm guessing. Granted, Phoenix may have to upscale their service to accommodate for more downloads, but apart from that, they can still make good money at a cheap price. There are some outliers though, as for example, PMDG still charge a pretty penny for their products. Additionally, with more people flocking to Microsoft Flight Simulator, there are far more add-ons that have been created, both freeware and payware, as there is a big market to tap into. As a result, I have seen a wider range of add-ons that might not even be available in X-Plane as of now. Additionally, one reason for there being such a big market for Microsoft Flight Simulator is the fact that it runs on console. Microsoft Flight Simulator can run on both Xbox and PlayStation, but X-Plane runs exclusively on desktop. Microsoft Flight Simulator gets the advantage for being able to be put on a console, while X-Plane is stuck on desktop PCs only, unless you want to include X-Plane Mobile. Then I guess it runs on mobile too, but it's not that great. For Microsoft Flight Simulator though, this is a double-edged sword. While seeking to optimize the sim for Xbox users, some have stated that the quality of the sim has dropped. Next up on the list is multiplayer. While both sims have compatibility with the VATSIM network, Microsoft Flight Simulator by default has servers where you can fly with friends or online. In X-Plane, you will need port forwarding and stuff of that nature if you want to fly with those you know. There are no online servers to fly on X-Plane by default. Let's talk about the camera controls. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, the camera controls can be a bit finicky and can change weirdly. At times, the camera view also might move a bit from what you might want it to be. X-Plane, on the other hand, doesn't have this issue. Microsoft Flight Simulator does have more options for the camera controls, but in X-Plane you do have a flyby and control tower view just by pressing the keybinds associated with it. Microsoft Flight Simulator does not have this feature by default. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, I also have a feeling that the external camera feels a bit weird, and one commenter mentioned how it's due to the fisheye lensing in Microsoft Flight Simulator. While it isn't a literal fisheye lens, it is perspective distortion caused by a high FOV, which somehow X-Plane manages to ignore completely. Next on the list is performance. Everyone has been stating different views in performance, so it mainly has to depend on your system. A lot of individuals have been stating X-Plane runs better than Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I feel like if you have really good computer parts, Microsoft Flight Simulator starts to beat X-Plane, but both will end up running just fine. As I mentioned earlier, it's advised to test out the demo and see how it works. Additionally, let's talk about start types. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, you can start on the runway or a helipad with your engines on, or at the gate with your engines off. As some mentioned, you can go from cold and dark to ready to roll through keybinds, in my case Control and E, but you can't start the plane or helicopter by selecting the runway or helipad directly. There is a workaround which one commenter mentioned though, and that is to click on the close end of the runway and do a custom start by selecting cold and dark from the drop down menu. This works with helipads too, although you will be a bit off center. In X-Plane, you do get this option. No matter where you are at the airport to spawn, you can spawn with your engines off or your engines on. Additionally, I will say that I've had a bit of an issue when it comes to loading aircraft on runways. Yesterday I was trying to load up on runway 34, and for some reason, 3 out of 3 times, the simulator decided to place me on runway 24 instead. A very important thing in both simulators are aircraft displays. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, the displays are perfectly fine by default, and while frame generation might pose an issue here or there, it should normally work alright. In X-Plane, when running a monitor with the resolution such as 1080p with FXAA on, some aircraft screens appear blurry. While the default aircraft have fixed this problem, payware aircraft such as those made by Tolis and Flight Factor have some hoops to jump through before this issue is fixed. You can avoid the blurry screens by turning off FXAA, but on these monitors with lower resolution than 2 or 3K, the surrounding edges can appear jagged. Next, let's talk about AIRAC cycles. Although no one really talks about this, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, the AIRAC is updated by default by Asobo, and while it won't work in some third-party aircraft such as the Phoenix, it works in a lot of aircraft by default. In X-Plane, I made a video how you can actually update your AIRAC data in the US for free instead of using a subscription such as Navigraph, and this actually works with all aircraft. I'll make sure to put one of those info icons in the top right corner of the screen so you can check it out, but if you're worried about AIRAC data, Microsoft Flight Simulator will automatically update everything every 28 days for the default aircraft. For Phoenix, I'm sorry, you're going to need a Navigraph subscription, but for X-Plane, if you're flying in the United States, you can definitely get free data from the FAA and put that into the simulator, and it should work just fine. While we're at it, let's talk about missions. X-Plane has less missions and activities. All of the ones here are more like training scenarios for certain aircraft, while Microsoft Flight Simulator has a plethora of missions, activities, and they also have a career mode. If you've gotten this far, you have reached the end. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the comments that you have left below on the other video, and I hope that this video sheds some more light on the differences between both sims. If you've liked this video, like and subscribe for more content like this, and I will catch you all in the next one. Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night everyone. Happy flying.